Hello everyone, Jule here. It's been a while since I made a video for the best roguelite or roguelike games, and I think it's about time to add some more into the fray. Specifically, newer games from 2021 to recent releases. Alright then, let's get started.
Encountered hostile predator.
Have a Nice Death is a 2D action roguelike where you play as an overworked death whose employees have run rampant, completely throwing off the balance of souls and his vacation plans. Have a Nice Death is a wonderful game for those who enjoy a fast-paced action and dynamic combat. The colors, animations, art style, and visual humor is also what makes these games truly unique from other games. It's still on early access, so obviously the game still lacks a lot of content. But I can see the game competing with the big boys once it fully releases. Home Behind 2 is a roguelike RPG which takes place in Scaria, a country engulfed in a civil war for 10 years. The game's main flow divides into two phases: resource management and going out for missions or exploration. One of the best aspects is its combat. With a timer-based real-time system, it gives you both hectic firefights and enough control to use skills to tip the balance in your favor. While the game style is not as polished as its obvious inspiration, our beloved Darkest Dungeon, but it is still good looking, consistent, and fits the setting very well. Orbital Bullet is a fast-paced action platformer with roguelike elements that perfectly designed for those who just want to immediately jump to the action. The game is pretty simple in regards to plot, and that is because there really isn't one. The rest of the game is you running around shooting as you work your way to the top. There are also variations of weaponry, modifications, crafting, and upgrades, which makes the game loop more exciting. In a crowded roguelike competition, Dreamscaper tries to stand out by adding a well-designed narrative into the game. While the gameplay provides a strong loop that makes it easy to jump in, it's the immersive atmosphere that grabs hold and keeps players engaged for multiple runs. I would say the puzzles and enemy design is probably not the best part of the game because it's kinda repetitive and unconvincing at times, but it's not ruining the overall experience from this game. SYNTHETIK 2 is a sequel to one of the best roguelite top-down shooter games. It moves from the pseudo 2D to full-on 3D, but otherwise it keeps the same feel, the same rhythm, and even the same plot from Synthetic Legion Rising. The game is as intense and engaging as the original, especially with more varieties of weapons, upgrade terminals, and more possibilities for what they can affect. It also lets you save your run rather than having to start over each time, which is probably everyone's favorite addition to this game. Astral Ascent is a 2D platformer roguelite game set in a modern fantasy world. With this early access, Astral Ascent proves that it has the weapons to carve out a place for itself in the competitive roguelite genre. Despite the seemingly simple narrative setup, you can rest assured because the storytelling and character development is surprisingly well designed. The level progression also greatly encourages multiple runs, meaning that you will often find yourself wanting to play again and again. Curse of the Dead Gods feels like someone just mixed Hades with Darkest Dungeon and Souls-like combat style. However, such a simplification would be unfair because the game does more than just borrow successful mechanics. It adds its own interesting ideas to the mix, such as corruption and curse systems that make for an intense and incredible experience with risk and reward situations behind every corner. It may not bring an evolution to the genre as Hades did, but nevertheless it is a solid roguelike experience that you don't wanna miss. Dead Estate is a gory, fast-paced, challenging roguelike shooter with a heavy emphasis on horror influences. For its price, the game is definitely worth it. Replaying it over and over again just to unlock new stuff is very addictive. The controls are smooth and very responsive, yet hard to master, especially because every character have their own way of controlling them. Not only that, Dead Estate also offers constant fresh challenges on each playthrough, so you can't just rely on upgrades or better weapons. Basically, you need to get good. Inscryption is mainly a deck-building roguelike game with some escape room puzzle elements and a heavy dose of horror. Its unsettling story is the perfect vehicle for its ever-evolving mechanics, which constantly keep the simple but entertaining card game at its heart fresh. Inscryption is packed with secrets and puzzles, so many that you are unlikely to find them all on your first playthrough. Like so many good roguelikes, Inscryption rewards you for just trying stuff out. Things might go horribly wrong, but that's the beauty of it. Vampire Survivors is still an early access, but the core that blend of roguelike and bullet hell shoot 'em up is already beyond solid. The game is a simple arcade-style game about dodging an ever-growing horde of monsters while acquiring spells that makes you more OP. There are other rooms to introduce more enemies that force you to mix up your tactics and move in specific ways, but it takes a good few hours before their absence begins to be felt. But hey, this is still an early access and surprisingly cheap for a solid game. It is so cheap that you are practically stealing from the dev for the amount of hours of fun you get. While your first glance at Loop Hero will reveal what appears to be a bare-bones game, you will soon discover it is a very complex structure that's simple to learn and an absolute blast to try and master. It mixes auto-battler with RPG elements, roguelite, and deck building into one very unique mix of a game. While it can get both grindy and confusing, there is a certain fascination about it that just pulls you in. Sure, the game looks like it was made on 90s, but it has its charm, and the graphic works perfectly for what it wants to be. Warm Snow is a roguelike action game with a background set in a dark fantasy world. While Warm Snow may not have the polish that other roguelikes feature, there's plenty to keep you playing for hours on end. The combat system gives players freedom during encounters with rewards that offer a deep level of character customization, hoping that your next run will last a little longer. The translation is probably still needs some work, but nevertheless it is a superb action roguelike that even can match the level of Hades. Gunfire Reborn is a strong FPS roguelike title with well-tuned challenging engagements. It has great gunplay, huge variety in builds, and a formula as simple as it is immediate. You get in, you shoot, and hopefully you can get to the end. The procedural generation of each level keeps each run feeling fresh, though they could use a few more variances to level maps. With more updates and content in the future, Gunfire Reborn is going to be hard to take down. Rogue Legacy 2 does everything a sequel should. It builds on what was already well done in its predecessor while reworking any ideas that weren't executed as well. The one more run effect is in full force as you choose yet another new heir to embark on another journey. The introduction of distinct classes with their own unique weapons is a masterstroke that elevates the sequel by building on what was already a fantastic premise and satisfying roguelite loop. It's very simple gameplay, but the pressure of surviving a good run makes you play more tactfully. Returnal is a PS5 exclusive third-person shooter with an incredible sense of exploration, rich atmosphere, and roguelike elements. The price tag may be off-putting for some, but it makes a great case for itself thanks to excellent gameplay, intriguing narrative, and replayability. The roguelike format works because of how interesting each of the 10 weapons are. Not only that, each of the 10 weapons can spawn with one of the 9 gun-specific traits which can dramatically affect of how that weapon is used. There are so many possibilities for each weapon, which will give each of your playthrough a distinct flavor. If you own a PS5 and somehow a roguelike fans at the same time, then you have to try this game. Alright boys, I think that's it for today. I'm sure that there are still other new roguelike or roguelite games that I haven't mentioned yet. So how about sharing your best list that probably deserve a spot in the comment section below. Don't forget to like the video and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss another great list. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Peace.